How's it going, everybody? This is episode 3 of the World's Finest podcast. We're here with my good buddy Micah, John Michael's roommate, on this special MLK Day World's Finest episode. Um, Micah, how do you say your last name? I'm sorry.
It is Jakubowicz.
Jakubowicz.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. John Michael, do you want to give him like a little tee off, and then Micah, you can just tell him a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Sorry, my voice and face are kind of gone due to kickball. But yes, this is Micah. One of my best buds. I always tell him he's going to be a groomsman at my wedding just because I think he's that cool. Wee buddy, Lord of the Rings movie watching buddy. Living with him for almost a year now and being his friend for almost 2. I still have no idea how to say his last name. Just really good dude. Really good, like, bro. Like, feels like a twin brother. So I'll never say that to your face. It's like a straight head. Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, likewise. I love this guy. I wouldn't be here without him, honestly. So yeah, my name's Micah Jakubowicz. I'm a philosophy and econ student at FSU. I'm a huge book nerd. I love to play golf. I love Lord of the Rings, huge Lord of the Rings nerd. I'm trying to go to law school right now. Just took the LSAT this last Saturday, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's a quick introduction to me.
Awesome, yeah. So there's a little bit of a theme that we have going on here. We had David and Ivan on so far. David was a philosophy major, and Ivan has a big theology background too. So I like that we're having like lots of more like educational centered guests on. I know AJ Miguel is going to come on at some point. So this has been super fun, and we've learned a ton too with the past 2 people we've had on. So before we get started, how was you guys' week? Do you have any like lessons from the week that you want to share? Maybe an experience or like an anecdote that you guys were thinking of during the events of the past few days?
I would say just, taking the LSAT this past week, I've had to definitely learn a lot of trust and faith with God and everything. So that was like the biggest takeaway for me this week is I don't think I've ever had to trust and have faith more in a week in my life, honestly, and a lot of prayer. So I would just say that was my biggest takeaway is just learning to trust. Yeah.
How long did you, if you don't mind me asking, like how long did you like the first moment where you're like, okay, I want to go to law school. Okay, I want to go take the LSAT. I'm going to study for the LSAT. Like, how long was that process?
Yeah, so it was kind of a last minute process, which made it a whole lot more stressful because I originally was planning to go to grad school for philosophy and become a professor. Um, and that's still kind of like a far out dream, but I decided to go to law school in like September and studied for like a month, took the test in October, and then didn't get as good of a score as I wanted to, and then studied another few months and then took it this past Saturday. So it's been very quick, but it's been good.
And you want to go this fall to law school?
This coming fall, yep.
Okay, sweet, sweet, sweet.
Excuse me, sorry, I haven't eaten all day.
You're good.
He's gonna be, if he gets into law school here, he's gonna be a Fratican member again next year. So
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, so you want to go to FSU?
I think so, just because I don't have to go anywhere. Like I don't have to restart my life somewhere else. And they have a really good program at FSU
Yeah,
where
it is really good.
Supreme Court and everything. Like I know like 2 guys that interned at the Supreme Court and then got a job right after graduation. So
Yeah, Peter, our may he rest in peace, our like founder, Peter Meisenbach, he went to FSU, and he interned at the Supreme Court at Florida, and then he got a job right afterwards. And
oh nice.
I also applied to FSU, but my application was very similar to yours, like very last minute. I decided I would go to law school like the August before, and then I studied a little bit. I took the test like 3 times in 3 months and studied in those 3 months to take it. I
Wow.
applied to FSU. They sent me a letter the next day being like, hell no, dude, absolutely not. um, but I'm happy where I am.
That-
FSU was not my first choice of law school, but yeah, dude, the process is a grind, and the LSAT is a monster of a test. I don't think I really realized that until like the second time I took it, because the first time I was kind of blind about like what the whole process was like. But the second time I took it was a lot of studying. I was taking all the practice LSATs to like get a target score, and once you hit the target score the same time, like 3 or 4 times in a row, then you start to go crazy because you're like, what can I do to like get like 2 points better, you know?
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's true. It's so frustrating too because it's not, it's not a memorization test. You can't like memorize a bunch of facts, which would be, I think, a lot easier. It's just you have to trust your own like mental clarity every single day, essentially.
yeah, John Michael, how was your week, man?
It was good. Um, Busy, but that's the way I like it. Like my planner looks like a schizophrenic journal. It's just back to back to back to back, getting all my daily stuff done, but then all my commitments with different stuff. Um, but really good. So at the Fratikin, we say we have an open door policy, and that's awesome. But sometimes what happens is like three different people in the house invite their own groups of friends to come over at the same exact time. Like that happened this last week. So at one point, Robert and I just looked at each other and we were like, dude, we're having a party in an hour. So we were like sweeping like crazy, mopping. At one point, me, three other dudes, we made a noble quest to Publix, blaring like the Pirates of the Caribbean theme, Halo Reach theme, to go get some more materials on time. Um, so yeah, just a lot of shenanigans, a lot of being on top of stuff, losing my voice from ROTC commitments and kickball. So yeah, it's good.
You don't have to say my schizophrenic journal. You can just say my journal, and then
Okay,
we'll just.
okay. Is the schizophrenia implied?
Well, it wasn't until you started talking about
Okay,
driving to
nice.
Publix and a Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack.
They go hand in hand more than you think.
Yeah, I mean, my week was pretty good too. Well, toward the end of my first semester of law school, like the day before I left, this is known to some people, but not everybody. I put in a request to start seeing this like a school mandated therapist, guidance counselor type of thing. My first semester of law school was great. I learned a ton, and it taught me a lot about myself too, like how to study and how to like retain information and how to take a real law school exam that's like 3 hours long or whatever. But yeah, I booked an appointment with a therapist. Haven't heard back from her yet, and I've been back here for like 2 weeks, and I was like, I'm gonna go crazy now. Um, but yeah, I did have my first session like the other day, and it was just like an hour, nothing fancy at all, and I highly recommend it to people who even if you're like my life is perfect, I have no problems, I'm actually the king of the world. I still recommend you see a therapist because that actually might be a problem in itself. Number one, if you think like that, and then number two, I just think it's good to like talk to somebody, um, someone you could feel, someone you feel like super safe around, and then just like there's no um, I forget, like there's no walls or anything like that. I felt the same way with Bro Ray. He was like I forget what the name you call it, but like a spiritual advisor. That's what it was. He was my spiritual advisor back at FSU, and there was just like no walls. I can just like tell him everything. I don't really have that same religious community here, so it's just like good to have like a therapist. And this is just like my PSA or just like shameless plug for getting help, even if you're perfect and everything.
Nice. When you said that there's no walls and you, I don't know if you made it like a reference to like insanity or something, but the white wall with your white shirt kind of, if you do this, like you will look like yes, like if you straight jacket that thing.
They actually have me stuck in this holding cell. I haven't been able to have food and water for 48 hours, and
They finally slipped through your
I
phone.
can talk to people through my podcast.
They were like, you get one phone call, and dude turned it into a podcast.
If I blink in Morse code, it's a coincidence.
Okay,
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 okay, good.
nice.
Nice, okay.
Guys, you know it's like snowing pretty badly here too.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
guys are gonna be up here in a few days, dude. We are covered. So
dude, we can have a snowball fight.
we could. I haven't seen snow since I was like 8, and it's. I woke up this morning and it was like, it was white everywhere. I was like, I'm dead. This is, like this is a different reality. So yeah,
We
this is a really weird day for me.
we've got snow going on too. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
Pretty bad.
it's like packed up to the window.
We've actually been stuck in the house for like 3 days now.
We have eaten a roommate. It's gotten bad.
Oh well. I have like layers now. I can dress in layers.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to like just wear black basketball shorts and like a long sleeve shirt. I can just. I have to get a coat. I have to buy gloves. Um, I don't think you can see on the camera, but my beanie has like snow particles in it, and I was just like, like intrusive thought. I was just like, I haven't, And I just like licked a whole bunch of snow from the beanie. I don't know what I was expecting, but
We we
it was just
can't.
like wet, it was just like water,
Oh God.
you know. I was just like, I don't know why I thought it tasted like ice cream or something, but
No.
I think most of our audience is in Tallahassee. Um, Snow just tastes like water. So when you come up here, or if you ever see snow in the next few years, it prepare to be disappointed. And then I put my hand in it for a little bit, like when I went out to like where my school was, where our library is, and they have like a where the trees are. The snow was like all over the bush, and I just saw it. I just like put my hand in it like that, and my hand I couldn't like feel my hand when I pulled it up. I just got like numb everywhere. And I was just like, this is like I was like a baby, experiencing a new world for the first time.
Well,
I'm done. My tangent's over. We're gonna talk now about distributism, right? Are we still doing that?
yep.
Okay, sweet. I have a very limited understanding of this, but I'm very excited to hear what Micah has prepared for us today.
Okay, so I think the best way to introduce distributism to new people who are not familiar with it is probably to contrast it with Marx, contrast and compare, I think. But before I do that, distributism is mainly a theory of social teaching that comes out of the Catholic Church, mainly from Pope Pius XIII, or Pope Leo XIII, I'm sorry, from his papal encyclical Rerum Novarum, where he is basically responding to basically the corporate capitalism that is becoming rampant in Europe and in America at the time. And there is a few other writers in the late 19th and early 20th century, like Hilaire Belloc and G.K. Chesterton, that really expound upon it and make it like a real holistic system. Mainly Hilaire Belloc, he writes a very famous book called The Servile State, where he's basically responding to socialism and capitalism, and gives like a Catholic third way essentially. So Belloc agrees with Marx's critiques of capitalism, which is that there are these two classes of people, at least what he sees during his time, of the capitalist and the proletariat. The capitalist being the people that own the means of production, and the proletariat being the person that only owns their labor and can only they only own their labor and they can never own the means of production, right? Now Marx thinks this is like a perpetual class conflict, right? Now Belloc and Catholics wouldn't agree with this, obviously, right? This isn't like the problem isn't the class conflict. The problem is that the system is set up in such a way that the proletariat, the people at the bottom, can never own the means of production, right? Now Belloc, working off of Rerum Novarum, Pope Leo XIII's papal encyclical, bases his theories off of the right to property, right? He thinks that families have the right to property, but mainly and most importantly to own property and everything that flows from the property, right? Including the means of production. So distributism is essentially a system where the means of production is widely distributed across families, across the workers, right? We don't want a system in corporate capitalism where only a few people can own the means of production and everybody else can never own the means of production. And I think it's important to note that Balak is not idealizing this system in the sense that he is coming up with this whole new system that he thinks the Catholic Church has made up. He actually believes that this system has worked in the past and that has been instituted in the past in the late medieval ages, where you had families that owned property and then would coalesce and collectivize into guilds. And these people would work together. They would set their own rules, set their own wages, and all this stuff, and they would be self-sufficient. I think before I end, I think that is the main one of the biggest important parts of distributism is that distributism is not only an economic system, it's a system that has to work with a certain social order, right? It has to work inside of a social order that has subsidiarity. Subsidiarity being a Catholic social teaching that teaches that the people, if there's a decision that can be made, it has to be made at the most local level possible. And these people, because whatever laws or economic regulations that are going to be set is going to affect them, they have the ability and the right to choose for themselves what they want those things to be. And this is what distributism is based off of, right? Those people must be self-sufficient. And if you look at the world today and contrast it with what distributism is talking about, ask yourself, does anybody or anyone really own any property or really own anything at all? And once you think about it, you really have to say, no, not really. You're always beholden to whoever is above you. Even if you think about starting a business, if you start a business, you still have to get loans from the bank, and the bank is still beholden to the Federal Reserve to get money from them. So no one is really self-sufficient in any type of way. We're all connected to a higher system. Necessarily, we can never be self-sufficient. So to wrap up, I think distributism is a system where people are self-sufficient with their own property and have the means to produce their own capital and to own their own capital.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I guess right off the bat, like my first question is that, like, so in your like opinion of it, do you see like a world where you would say that like you could apply distributism to like a modern like how can I say it? Like a modern like countries like way of setting up their economy? Like do you think that's like a real possibility?
Right. Yeah. So there's a really good book called The Third Way, where it gives a lot of modern examples of how distributist ideas have been applied in the modern world. And Chesterton does think this too. So he's writing in the 20th century, so this is not too long ago. But a lot of people kind of strawman distributism and say basically that distributism is a system where the only way it could work is if we just go back to agrarianism, where people just own farms, basically. That's not entirely true. Chesterton's main solution to this, at least in the modern context, is to basically first institute antitrust laws and to break up all the big corporations and distribute them across. Well, distribute is not the right word. You don't want to redistribute the ownership.
Right. Those are fighting words, Micah. You say the word redistribute.
Right.
People start.
Yeah, it's important to know we're not socialists. We don't want to redistribute the wealth, but we want to allow the we want the companies to be small companies, and we want ownership to be with families and not in a select few. So we want to break up the big corporations, and we want to incentivize small business ownership. Another thing that can be done, and this was done in a few European countries in the 20th century, and this was a wide practice in the medieval ages, which is what is called family wage, which is today our wages are based off of the individual worker and how productive the worker is, right? It used to be where the wage was set for the family and not the individual, right? So a family would have a wage. Mainly, the man would go out and work, and the wage would be based off of the family. So Pope Leo the 13th actually talks about this, and so does Pope Francis. Actually, he has written about this too, about a just wage, and a just wage being it's a wage is not just unless the family can subsist off of that wage. If the family cannot survive off the wage, then the wage is not just. And this kind of just destroys the whole profit and market idea of capitalism, right? We don't just pay workers whatever is most profitable for the company, right? The company has to pay the worker in the capitalist context the least amount so the company could be the most productive. We don't like that idea at all. We would like families to be not only self-sufficient but be able to survive. And so instituting a wage that allows the family to be self-sufficient and to survive, what Chesterton and other writers would call a family wage, which is done in like Belgium and Bulgaria in the 20th century, and actually boosted productivity for families and boosted profits for families, is a great idea. And the last thing I'll mention is that you can institute co-ops, which are very similar to guilds. They're not the same as guilds. But there's a really famous company in Spain called the Mandragoran Company. It has 80,000 employees, and all 80,000 employees equally own the company. They all have equal ownership in the company. And again, this company, because it's a co-op, it didn't get any loans from the government. It didn't get any loans from higher capitalists. All the workers kind of collectivize and work together to solve the problems. And they set their own rules and wage, right? So I think they have a rule where it's like the bottom person in the company can't be paid 9 times less than the top person in the company. So just things like that, I think that can be applied in the modern context, can allow us to have a more subsidiarity and solidarity in the economy.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like it would have my vote. I think there's a lot of really good things in there. Also, one thing I wanted to point out too is that sounds like a very good blend of like more progressive ideals that we see like come to fruition in some counties and cities in America, but it also has like a good combination of like more individualistic things, like you said, keeping within the family, and giving everyone like their own individual voice. But there's also like very progressive ideas you see in like breaking up corporations, giving everyone like a livable wage, stuff like that. I have like a kind of naive way of like seeing like most American people, but I will like die on this hill that like most Americans, I think like you think of like a bell curve. I think like most Americans think the same way about class structure and like the divide between like the top 1% and the rest of the country. I think most Americans do feel the same way about like economic inequality and like the problems that like face the country. And there's like small things like cultural things that divide those people, that huge group of people, into like up to political parties. And by like lobbyists or whoever it is, like holding on to these like really tiny little folds to like separate them enough, you do enough damage to like not have the collective kind of go against like the main I guess hoarder of wealth. And I think when we use words like redistribution or stuff like that, that makes people afraid of communism or socialism and stuff like that. But I guess giving like the family like an individualistic approach to it, I guess could kind of alleviate those pressures, and I guess like not scare people that much. But yeah, like I'm all for sticking it to the man. I'm a pretty revolutionary dude myself. I'm not that crazy, I promise. I don't want to like get
This will be
the CIA to like shoot me down.
We're done.
But I am like a pretty like hard like for the people type of guy. But
Right.
But yeah, John Michael, do you have any other questions too?
What shampoo did you use? Because you smell pretty good,
Do I?
respectfully.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I just put on some deodorant. Some yeah, about it.
I'm blown away.
I'm blown away as well.
About distributism and all that. He and I have discussed it, just like living in the house. So I don't personally have any questions. that I would be comfortable with saying on camera. I'm a federal employee, but no, like, yeah. Uh, this is a thumbs up for friendship, not any particular. I back the Catholic Church 1,000%, 100% of the time.
Yeah, there is also like a little bit of a problem if you were to like use, and I'm not gonna say if it's like bad or good or bad yet, like on camera either, but like there's an idea of like throwing like you're not gonna go to Congress and like bring up like the Pope Francis's and Pope who else do you say Pope Leo
Yeah,
13th.
13th, yeah.
You're not gonna like go up there and like bring their writings to Congress and be like, this is why we should
Yeah.
see this because that brings up a whole bunch of like First Amendment things and like all this like other stuff, which is good things, and it's like a blessing to like live in a country that like respects all that stuff. But if you can, I think this is what's really important about having like a philosophy background. Like, well, yeah, sure, it might come from like a religious figure, so like this, all that stuff is like philosophy is a science, and there's like a very tangible, easy to explain, maybe not easy to explain, but like there's a tangible, like logical order of explaining these things. Um, and it just so happens that like it's a religious context here, but like philosophy and religion, they go hand in hand. Philosophy is a science, and I think there is a way to like convince, the people without like forcing a religious or spiritual thing on them. I think there is like a good like logical order in a way to kind of like explain some of these higher concepts to the larger population. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I'd like to think that it'd be in my lifetime. I'm 22 years old. I would like to think that in my lifetime I'll get to see like some real hardcore change in the nation. But I'm also like called naive for saying this. I mean,
No, I feel you. Yeah, it definitely doesn't have to be a religious theory, because there have been thinkers that have espoused distributist type ideas that have not been religious, because it all comes down to whether economics is under ethics or the other way around.
Mm.
I'm an econ student at FSU right now, and if you ever take classes at a state university with econ, you will quickly come to know that all the professors think economics is the greatest thing that has ever been invented, and nothing is beholden to economics. Or economics is not beholden to anything. Everything else is beholden to economics. And they all are not philosophers at all. So I think that's a big roadblock, right, when we're talking about this, is if you don't respect philosophy and you don't want to talk about the ethics of economics, then this really can't be a conversation that can be had. But if you're interested in the foundations of social thought, which I think is ethics and religion, then I think it's possible to move the conversation forward.
A lot of my questions I had are like not so much about distributism, but they're more just about uh, you, mind, like more of like law stuff and like kind of thought process about all that. So unless there's anything else that you have, John Michael, about like distributism, I think we can just go into like goofing around with Micah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sure. Seamless segue. Great transition to the last little part of our. This is gonna be so good. Yeah, hold on, let me pull up my question. John Michael, do you have any questions? You want to go first? I feel like I talked a little bit too much.
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
actually, questions.
Oh no. Okay.
Both of which involve animals.
Okay.
So, first question: if you had to combine any two animals to take into war, what two would you take? And second question: what is the biggest land animal you think you can actually beat in a fight?
Oh no, it's classic. Okay.
You
First,
asked David that one too.
Yeah, I want to make it a recurring thing.
That's gonna be like your thing.
You will never guess what I'm about to ask.
okay, first one. Oh man, this is an interesting one. I'll have to be quick on my feet. I think the first one is gonna be probably like a tiger.
Okay.
And like a tiger or a horse.
Okay.
That'd be cool. Like a tiger.
A tiger.
What
A
combination?
horse.
A horse. You can ride it.
Tiger.
You can ride it. Kind of like the things that they ride in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, that
Yeah.
the one that smacked Aragorn
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the river.
to the river.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, I like that. I'll go with
do you
that.
like Torn or Higer more?
Or tiger. Is that what you said?
Tiger, yeah.
Tiger. I like that.
You said a tiger and what else?
A horse.
A horse. Oh, that's a good combo. That's a good combo.
The biggest land animal. Mm,
Let's work up because you could take a cat, you could take a dog. You probably
Yeah.
couldn't take a mountain lion. So
Right.
I'd say a man can take a mountain lion. That is my. I feel like that is my answer.
so is your like last stare when we were is right here's mountain lion.
Um, I don't want to limit myself,
Okay.
but I'm gonna say mountain lion is the realistic.
like with just my fist and everything.
Yeah, it's just you. Maybe if you've got a belt on, you can like use
Okay.
the belt, but it's
No,
just
I'm thinking like with like a. I'm not thinking like gun. I'm thinking like okay, I'm gonna do another meeting in like 5 minutes.
sure.
Um, but yeah, you don't have any weapons. I'm thinking like with like a sword or something.
Oh, you've got a sword?
That's why. That's the only way you could take a mountain lion.
Oh, dude, no. Because here's the thing. Here's what mountain lions do. They'll come up you, and then they'll like paw at you like this. They'll come out really wide. You you get your hooks in. You suplex the thing. You put it in a chokehold. You take your ankles. You get your hooks, and it's like back legs, and then you choke it to death.
How much does how much does a mountain lion weigh that you're suplexing it?
Not too much.
I was just like this fake mountain lion, this fantastical mountain. Hold on, wait 1 second.
You know what I have that a mountain lion doesn't have?
What?
Thumbs and a rational soul and a brain. So he
So I
was
typed in
super-
mountain lion weight, and it says an adult male can be anywhere from 130 to 220 pounds,
that is
which
not realistic.
is like that's a very large range. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Um, mountain lion weight in 175 pounds. I mean, people weigh about that. You know, you suplex people all the time, but still, I feel like they're a more violent creature. I feel like you're not gonna get hooks in like that. You know what I mean?
Okay. Or maybe I just like completely like sacrifice on my arms. I'm like, oh, come get it. Grabs on here. Then I reach around and I'm like, oh,
Because that convinced me that I could take a mountain lion with a sword, but I'm still not
Mm.
convinced.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna send another email really quick, okay?
yeah, sure.
Not send another email. I'm gonna send another. Okay,
Good
we
idea.
are back. But yeah, no, I think with a sword, mountain lion is now realistic. But just the hands, I guess you could. It weighs light enough to like you could suplex it. Like people are about that weight.
I'll do
So
what
maybe-
Bane did. I'll pick up the mountain lion and I'll be like, I was wondering what would break first, your spirit or your body, and then right over the knee, and then the lion has a training arc for revenge.
Mountain lion's like, why the hell did this guy just quote Tom Hardy's?
Mountain lion is minding its own business. It didn't even attack me.
I think I could take a wolf. I
Mm.
think that's a solid pick. It's like right in between.
Yeah, I think I could take a wolf too. I was shameless plug for the Percy Jackson TV show, but I was like a huge fan of those books growing up. And in the spin-off series, The Heroes of Olympus, they have like this this new character who is like literally raised by a wolf.
Oh,
Oh,
And his like mom
Bear.
abandons him. What's up?
the kid who could turn into a bear.
No, Jason, the son of Zeus.
Oh, Jason was raised by wolves.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, dude,
I can't remember.
some crazy stuff happened with some characters in the recent books.
The
Really?
Trials of Apollo one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read those like very recently too.
Yeah, go right
Chris-
ahead.
Jason died.
No.
They killed Jason.
Spoilers for Trials of Apollo. Jason Grace is dead.
Bro, I
last.
didn't know my man Rick was still writing those books.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry
And
for anyone who's like a Percy Jackson fan.
too.
Wow.
Jason, yeah. You save the world together, you think it's kind of a done deal, and then you go and break up. Like, wow.
Yeah, they like did him so dirty because like the dying thing, it's like okay, it's a cool thing, demigods die, but for having break up with the goddess or she's the daughter of the most
The
beautiful,
demigod, yeah.
yeah, the demigod, like the daughter of Aphrodite, Piper. Her name's Piper.
Mhm.
He breaks up with Piper, who's like this beautiful lady, and they don't even give a good reason. They're just like, we were in a war together, so we had to fall in love. And then when the war was over, we stopped. It's like, first of all, you're still in the war. Number one. Number two, like that's the best reason to fall in love, right? Hey, but I would love to meet my future wife in war as well. But like in the context of that story, I feel like that was a cool little plot that they had. But I don't know. Jason was my guy because he can control lightning, and he's literally me. But
Okay.
Oh, right.
but yeah, they did him dirty. I'm not happy about it. But
So,
yeah,
one more question for both of you regarding animals we can beat in a fight. Would you rather fight a chicken every time you got in your car, or once a year an orangutan with a katana, but you never know when it's coming?
I can take the Orangkatana.
The orangutana, if you will.
I was gonna build up to a Orangkatana plug, and I just said I could take an Orangkatana.
Dude, wait, I'll go grab the costume.
Oh,
I could take a orangutan with a katana if I had a katana too.
Oh.
Now's a good time, I guess. Seamless transition. John Michael is working on a script for my fake company to produce called Orangkatana, and that's going to be Arete Productions' next little endeavor.
oh, nice.
Coming to YouTube this summer. John Michael stars as we actually haven't given him a name, and he's not the monkey. The monkey's the bad guy, but
Wait, JM,
Yeah.
is it a chicken or a rooster that I have to fight?
I think a chicken.
Hmm.
chicken's easy. Chicken you can.
Yeah, chicken's easy. I can take a chicken.
It's just that like every time, it's just the mere like every time I get into a car, every time you drive to school in the morning and go back home at night.
Oh, true.
You forget something in your car, another chicken. But then again, that's a very lucrative passive income.
Yeah, I can just kill the chicken every time, and then skin it, and then sell it.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about like that's an interesting wrinkle. It's like okay, possible silver lining. I always have something to eat.
You could eat an orangutan.
Yeah, but you get it once a year.
Slightly more unethical, but still.
What if it's like, okay, you're out in the middle of the wilderness, right? My car's out of gas. Oh no, I have nothing to eat. I'm stuck here until the sunrise. Let me just lock my car and then open it again, and then I get a chicken.
Orangutan with a katana straight through the heart, you die.
Yeah, you could die fighting an orangutan with a katana, but you can't. You probably a chicken can kill you.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of disease though that could build up in a car.
Yeah, that's true. I might take the orangutan.
Or middle ground, take the chicken, but ride a motorcycle. All your funds from where's the chicken gonna go?
I would love to. I think it just out of convenience, like it would be such a like. Let's say I'm taking a girl on a date or something, and I park at her house and I knock on the door and I like pick her up at the front, and then as I'm walking back to the car, there's a chicken in the passenger seat. And I have to now kill a chicken.
Dude, I tell you what, man, in the feudal society, that might have been the move. I brought you this chicken to show my love for you. Oh wait, look at this. I brought you another chicken to show you my love for you.
I could just also like hire someone to fight the chicken every time I get in my car.
That's too much. That's too much. At this point, it's like let me just fight the orangutan orangutan one time. I just don't have the like. If I had to go somewhere, that would weigh in my head. I'm like, I really don't feel like killing a chicken right now. I'm not gonna make it to your birthday party, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think just out of like my sheer like, I don't want to do too much stuff. I would think I would just take the orangutan once every year.
But you never know when it's coming. So it's a perpetual looming over your head.
Yeah, but what are the odds it's gonna come? How many like events do you go to every year where you're like, it would really suck if it came like right now? Because it could just come while you're sleeping, right?
Oh,
So you're cool with just dying?
Well, you would hear it come in. I'd much rather
No.
fight an orangutan in my apartment here.
I always like imagine it busting through a window or dropping from an air vent or like I know you helped the nice old lady across the street. Spider-Man 1, 2002, Sam Raimi turns around, screams. It's an orangutan.
If it just appeared out of thin air, that makes things a lot more complicated. But if it's like hunting you down
I
and it's
think
like,
I'm hunting more.
yeah, it, like
Like,
breaks it into the window, it's like you can hear it coming in.
trips the silent alarm.
Yeah, I mean, you open yourself to all these like all this paranoia stuff too, because it's like, if it comes on like January 1st or 2nd or something, okay, we're fine, you know. But if it's like August, oh my God, like that whole like summer is gonna be, because if it's like December 25th, if it's like right after Christmas, you're like, okay, I can prepare a week, it's coming this week, I can prepare that. But if it's like August and it hasn't come yet, you're just sitting there just like, "Hmm, well, it'd be like stressful, you know?
It would.
So
Yeah,
there's like a period of like January, I'll prepare just in case it comes. Once January is over, I'm stressed from February to November. And then in December, I'm like, okay, it's coming in December. I can prepare again.
I feel like you'd just be on edge all the time. Like if this was real, I would walk downstairs to get breakfast, see Rob Rod and freak out. Like just see the orange hair and not know what to do.
Rob's already a orangutan.
True, by the way. We don't know that about Rob.
He unzips his human skin. Never mind.
I also want to have Rob on here eventually.
I've been working on my Rob impression, so we can do that with Rob.
I also have a Rob impression. I don't know
Oh,
what you
we
do.
could just be free Robs. We can
When
shit
he's
that.
on, we just all are talking to our Rob impression the entire time.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, guys, World's Finest Podcast, episode 1.7, and that's how I just talk the entire time.
Sure, I'd be down.
I just don't blink the entire time too. I'm just like this the entire time.
Always look like you just got hit by like a shot of adrenaline. No, 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 no.
Oh, my bad.
No, 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 no. That, yeah,
Flawless Rob impression.
yeah.
Here, yeah, I found one of my questions. Very, very like basic question, but I mentioned earlier like my like law school journey. It was always something I would see myself doing, but I never wanted like this is gonna just let me hear me out. I never wanted like a career per se. I just wanted to like do a bunch of cool stuff in my life, you know? Like I don't want to have like a 30-year career where just like I'm like a T-Mobile representative for 30 years. I think I'd kill myself by like year 4. But I've always wanted to just do like a bunch of cool stuff, and law school was just like on that list of like giving me a bunch of options to do. I wasn't gonna go get my master's or anything. I did not like undergraduate education. I was like, I'm not doing grad school. I don't want this. This is boring. This sucks. Um, Shout out to my crim professors. They were all great, but I just did not want to do like all that stuff forever. So my law school plan was just like, okay, I want to get law school, have a bunch of options. If I can do prosecuting for a bit, if I can work for the FBI for a bit, CIA, I just want to work in like some sort of intelligence agency. I want to ask you, like, when you go to law school, what are you trying to get out of it? What is your like long-term career goal? It doesn't have to be one thing, but like for me, it's just like I want some action. I want to do some cool stuff. I want to like help some people out. What is like your why? Which is kind of a loaded question, but it's an important one to know before you start, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's one that I'm still trying to figure out, but I would say I was just like you, like one a 9 to 5 job where I work 40 hours a week. I obviously you're gonna have to do that at some point, which I've worked a lot of jobs in my life, but like to get to a place where you can be self-sufficient and do meaningful things, you're gonna have to do that at some point. So I will have to, just be a regular lawyer for a while. Um, but I still see myself teaching someday, because like I'm super passionate about education and about investing in people in their lives and in their education. I don't see a whole lot of professors. There's a select few professors at FSU that are super good and not only invest in in my education, but also invest in like me as a person. And those are the professors that I remember, and those are the professors that I remember what I learned in the classes, right? Um, and so I'm passionate about philosophy and I'm passionate about law and these things, and I would love to at some point teach, whether that is teaching law or going back to school and teaching philosophy. I know a few professors that have their JD and their doctorate in philosophy and teach in both schools because it's overlapping a lot of the times. But that's kind of like my passion. That's like where I'm headed towards, hopefully.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be like altruistic. I think that there's like a stick. I feel like there's a stigma against like people who just like have passion for stuff. You know, I don't know if that sounds like right or anything, but like when you say like you really want to invest in people, you really want to help people. I really want to do. I feel like people kind of think like, oh, like you got to grow up eventually. It's like no, you know, that is like a very like noble thing to do, and I think that people need more of that. And I agree with you completely. Like I had some really great professors at FSU. Most of my crim professors were really good, but the ones I really remember, I had one of them write my letter of recommendation. She like it was a smaller class, granted, so like 30 of us, but yeah, she like really cared about me as a person. Like she remembered my name, which is a really weird thing for like professors to do. And it was in a public speaking class. I got my public speaking credit in that class, but it was a criminology class. It was like a legal class, and we would present cases and stuff like that, and arguments and stuff. And she like grilled me. Her name is Professor Krista Flanagan. To any FSU people, she was a great professor, my favorite professor I've had. Our first day, she was not or not our first day, our first presentation. She was not in the room with us. We were just the students of us were in the room together, and she would call us from a speaker in the room, and she would think she was in a different room, and she would just get on the thing and be like, "Vindra Singh, it's time for your presentation," like from the thing.
Oh
And
wow.
I'd go up there, and in my like suit and tie, and I go and I do it, and then I wouldn't hear anything from the students, and then like 30 seconds later, she'd buzz in through the speaker and be like, you have a problem with the way you keep like moving yourself back and forth when you talk. You should fix that. or
Oh,
like or something like when you tried to be funny, you were not. Or stuff like that.
it's so hurtful.
Like the joke you made about this did not land. And I will never like be so scared, but that was such a good experience for me. And now when I talk in my 80, 90 person law school class, I'm a lot more comfortable, you know. Uh, the acting and stuff like that too. Like I'm very comfortable with like doing performative stuff, um, because of she has a really big part of that. So yeah, invest in people, good stuff. Don't be afraid to be a little naive sometimes. That will reach a good 9 people, and their lives will be changed forever.
I'm pretty sure half of those is just my mom rewatching it. Sometimes I'll see we break the double digits for likes, and I'm like, likes or views, and I'm like, thanks, mom.
My parents don't watch this, dude. They're like,
Mine. I'm just kidding. Like I'm like it's cool people watch. I'm just curious to where they are,
Yeah.
like what they're doing.
shout out to everyone who's watching this right now, man. The movies that we put out, they get like a good 100, 200 people watching them. But
Oh
we
wow.
we put this podcast on, and it's like 30. It's okay. We're not clamming for views. We just want to talk to each other. That's all it really is. Wait, that was like my big. That was like that was like my only like really big question. I did have like a basketball question. I don't know. I asked Ivan this last time too, but I was just wondering. I think it can tell a lot about a person. Um, do you have like a favorite niche NBA role player from the past like a decade or so, like the past like 20 years, like someone who doesn't get enough like recognition?
Oh gosh. Um, Brian Scalabrine, probably the greatest player that no one knows about. He,
That's a great pick. That's a great pick.
yeah, I mean, if I had to rank like the greatest players ever, it would probably be like Michael Jordan,
Sure,
Brian Scalabrine, and then LeBron
sure,
James.
sure. And it's debatable. It's a 1A, one
Say
B,
hot
one C
take.
type
Yeah.
of thing.
Saying that was a piping hot take, dude.
I mean, you haven't seen Brian
You
Scalabrine
were
play.
talking to the biggest bronze sexual in the world.
I know. We
I'm not. I'm but like I don't know. I don't know if I can really claim that title because like I like Michael Jordan a lot. I think he's awesome. I don't really like. I'm not like Jordan. Like I think it's like very clearly like a 1A 1B thing with LeBron and Jordan.
I respect that.
But like Brian Scalabrine, I mean, not the most athletic guy. Kind of had a beer gut toward the end of his career.
Right.
He had red, like bright red hair, like kind of a weird like half mustache on the finals teams. Like he
Right.
did not look like an NBA player, you know. And he played some D1 players in 21 like recently. Brian
Really?
Scalabrine's like 50 right now, and he played like some 20-year-old Division 1 basketball players, and he crushed them. He crushed them, and he said I am closer to LeBron than you are to me, which is a crazy quote.
See, the thing about
That is
Brian
wild.
Scalabrine is that he believed he was the greatest. So I think that's really all that matters.
And you know what? I would argue that he's right. He's right. Like there are so many Division 1 basketball players in the world. None of them are or not none of them. 90% of them are not going to go to NBA. And there's so many people who watch basketball. And they're like, oh, I can probably beat up Brian Scalabrine. This dude is like a fat ginger dude. Like
Yeah.
I can, like, listen, you can't. If you think you
I
can do
love
it, you
my friend
can't.
that you could have.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. There's such a steep decline from pro players to Division 1 college basketball players, and another steep decline from Division 1 basketball players to me and Micah. And you know, like they're you cannot comprehend just how good some of these guys are. And Brian
Right.
Scalabrine does not get enough credit for making the NBA. LeBron is like a 0.001% basketball player and athlete. Brian Scalabrine is like a top 1% athlete, and all of us are all the way down there, you know. So
Yeah. Shout out Brian.
last time I talked to Ivan about it, he said Gerald Green, and I said Nick Collison, who's another who's another turns up white boy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I don't really have another one right now off the top of my head. I
That
guess
makes sense.
I guess Chris Anderson, if we're gonna stay with like white basketball players, like Birdman, he was on those like championship Heat teams. He was like 6'10", like 225, 235 pounds, and he was covered in tattoos from his face to his legs. He was and colorful tattoos too, like bright red, bright green, orange tattoos. He was not a very good basketball player though. He was just kind of like big, and he would just like bully people and dunk on them and like block shots. And now he filed for bankruptcy a couple months ago. Like he kind of lost his whole thing. But I'll always remember the Birdman. That's my guy.
I think Bugs Bunny is really slept on.
True, he is. He is.
The 90s, but the way he really works with Michael Jordan, I think doesn't get
Was he in the LeBron one? I haven't seen the LeBron one. I haven't seen the Space Jam with LeBron. I see Bugs Bunny out in it.
neither have I. No, I didn't watch the LeBron one.
Not a true bronsexual if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, dude. You were the last person that I thought would like miss that movie.
No, I love the first one. I don't know why I guess I didn't really want to taint it because LeBron has acted in this movie with Bill Hader, Trainwreck, where he does really he plays himself, and obviously it's not like a huge stretch, but he's very funny in it, and he has like good comedic timing, and he's like a pretty good actor. But it came out in like 2014, so when I heard he was doing Space Jam 2, I was like, that's not a crazy thing. Like he's probably the best basketball player of like his generation. Of course, he's going to do Space Jam 2, but I heard that he was horrible in it as an actor, which was like so surprising to me because he was so good in this comedy with some of those like actual actors, not
Yeah.
just these like animation people. But yeah, sad to hear that Space Jam didn't do good. I'll probably watch it eventually. If
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny is in it, the reason I asked was because he played with Michael Jordan in the '90s and LeBron in the 2020s. That is some insane longevity from Bugs
Honestly,
Bunny.
it's true.
You know,
Great. Great.
Those knees do not give out, dude. Our hops for decades.
have you seen the thing that's going around Instagram, the Lightning McQueen stuff, where like the cars debate? People talking about like who's the greatest racer of all time. They say
Oh,
some
dude, it's Doc for sure. Yeah.
they say some crazy stuff though. They say like, "Oh, Jackson Storm, man, get that that PED taking like freaking loser out of my go conversation." Doc Hudson's a good take, but I think McQueen clears. I think McQueen clears. I
Oh,
think
man.
McQueen one. I would put Strip Weathers at two though.
You know what? I can give you McQueen on the sole basis that Doc had his career cut short.
Yeah, true.
I do have a question though. What is a PED for a car?
Whatever they were putting in Jackson Storm's like turbo ass dude, like he was like a souped up race car. He was on like Schwarzenegger steroids, dude. I guess
Mm,
they had my guy like with the blue fire coming out the sides and
yeah, that's not natural.
like what are we doing here?
Should have seen
Like
the sign.
do we respect the sport at all at this point? Lightning McQueen was a top tier racer and he could do it all too. He was beating up like Formula One Italian dudes in the second movie. He was taking down criminal syndicates in that movie too. Like he was racing around the world. He should have an extra piston cup to his name. Like, his resume is tainted by that piston cup he doesn't have because he was a good sport. He pushed the king across the checkered flag that in the first movie. He should have another piston cup because
Mm,
Chick Hicks he that was a Mickey Mouse ring. That was not a real piston cup that Chick Hicks won. McQueen had it in the bag and he in protest went back and he pushed the king across the line. So that adds to McQueen's resume for me.
mm,
And then Doc, he had a career cut short, but we have no idea how good he would have been. But I think it's adds to Doc's legacy that he trained McQueen.
true. So
Jackson Storm, you are not top five.
how
Jackson
do you
Storm,
think
you are not
Max
top 10.
Verstappen would line up against Lightning McQueen?
So
How do you think? My final question is: how do you think Max Verstappen would have lined up against Lightning McQueen?
Verstappen's got some talent, but he's a Formula One racer, and this might be a hot take, but but NASCAR drivers are the best. Stock car drivers are much more talented than Formula One racers. I think they can do it all. Like they can race on dirt, they can race on road courses, they can race on ovals, and they have to be in much better physical shape. That's not a debate, I don't think. Um, and yeah, I think that McQueen is a stock car racer, and he's like an everyman racer. So I think he clears Verstappen too.
That's fair. That's fair.
Verstappen's a great Formula racer. He's probably the best F1 guy of my generation.
Yeah, when Max Verstappen watches this, he's gonna be pissed.
This is true. Okay, I think we have a good amount of stuff. Um, I'm gonna stop the recording now, but really quick, this is Micah Jakubowicz. Say it again. Just say it one more time.
Jakubowicz.
Jakubowicz. We have Micah Jakubowicz. I'm Vindra. This is John Michael. This has been the third episode of the World's Finest Podcast. Micah, do you have any last things to say to the people?
Be based. That's about it.
Real.
Okay. Thank you, man.
Of course. Thanks for
I'm
having
gonna
me.
stop. I'm gonna stop.